All right, let's dive in. Today, we're unpacking one of the most ambitious tech projects happening anywhere on the planet, India's massive strategy to transform itself into a global AI superpower. So, how are they going to pull it off?
It all really starts with this one huge question. We're not talking about just funding a few cool startups here. We're talking about redesigning an entire nation's tech ecosystem for a completely new era.
And to do that, you need capital, a whole lot of it. India is aiming to pull in over $200 billion in investments for AI and deep tech. You know, this isn't just a goal written down somewhere. It's a huge statement of intent to the rest of the world. The stakes are incredibly high. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at that massive financial bet. Then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the AI engine they're building. After that, we'll check out who the key players are, how this is completely changing the business of tech, and finally, we'll tackle the most important part, the human equation. Okay, so let's start with that absolutely massive number. This is so much more than just an investment fund. It's a full-on government-backed national mission. The goal? To make this powerful technology accessible to everyone and to seriously kickstart economic growth for over 1 billion people. What you're seeing here is a fundamental pivot. I mean, for decades, India has been the world's IT back office, right? The support hub. The new goal is to become the world's AI front office, a true AI-first economy where this tech is in everything, from how a doctor makes a diagnosis to how a farmer decides to plant their crops. But how do you actually build something like that? Well, like any powerful engine, it's not just one big part. It's a bunch of carefully built layers, all working together. So let's take a look at the architecture. This is the blueprint. They call it the IndiaAI stack. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it from the ground up. You need the raw energy, the data highways, the compute muscle to do the heavy lifting, the AI brains to make sense of it all, and then finally, the apps that we all actually use. For today, we're going to focus on the real core of it, the muscle and the brains. So let's talk about the muscle. India's public compute pool is set to have more than 58,000 GPUs after this new expansion. Now, these aren't your average computer chips. These are the highly specialized workhorses that are the true engine room of AI development. A number that big puts India in a pretty exclusive global club.
And this chart, this shows you just how smart the strategy is. See, it's not just about having the hardware. It's about making sure people can actually afford to use it. The India AI mission is basically subsidizing the cost, slashing it to less than half the global average. This is a game changer because it removes one of the biggest hurdles for startups and researchers, potentially kicking off a huge wave of innovation.
Okay, so having all that muscle is great, but it's pretty useless without the brains to tell it what to do. And on this front, India is playing a really fascinating two-sided game. They're grabbing the best AI from around the world, while at the same time they're building their very own models from scratch.
And you can see that strategy playing out perfectly right here. On one side, you've got the absolute titans of Indian IT, companies like TCS and Infosys, rolling out a mind-boggling 200,000-plus licenses for Microsoft's Copilot to get AI into their systems immediately. But on the other side, you've got these agile startups like Sarvam AI, who are government-backed, building models specifically for India, trained on 22 different Indian languages, something the global models just can't do well. It's the classic buy and build strategy, but on a massive national scale. And listen to this quote from Cognizant CEO Ravi Kumar S. It just nails the moment. He calls it the largest infrastructure investment in tech history. And for companies like his, the job isn't just about providing IT services anymore. It's about turning all this incredible tech potential into actual, real-world business value. And that brings us to the economic shockwave. This whole AI revolution isn't just some new product they can sell. No, it's forcing a complete rewrite of the very business model that made India's IT industry a global powerhouse in the first place. For decades, Indian IT has worked on what's called the global delivery model. You can see it right there at the top, listed as dominant. Basically, clients paid for how many people worked on a project and for how many hours. Super simple. But look all the way down at the bottom, outcome-based. That's the goal now, where companies get paid for the actual results they deliver. But notice that word next to it, aspirational. That one word tells you everything about the huge, difficult journey this entire industry is on right now. Because here's the bottom line, AI just completely breaks that old model. Why? Because it automates tasks and makes everyone more productive. So that old formula of more people equals more money is just gone.
The entire industry is now in a frantic race to figure out how to sell actual value, not just billable hours. And that, of course, leads us to the biggest question of all. With all this disruption, what does it mean for the millions of people who actually work in this industry? This is the human side of India's huge AI bet.
Let's start with the tough part, the headwind. Projections show that by 2031, AI and automation could put as many as 1.5 million existing tech jobs at risk. That's a sobering number. But, and this is a really big but, that's only half the story. The tailwind, the opportunity, is actually even stronger. In that same timeframe, AI is expected to create up to 2.5 million new jobs, new roles, new services, entirely new industries. The challenge, of course, is how you bridge that gap between the old jobs and the new ones.
So the path forward is pretty clear, even if it's not easy. It's going to take a total overhaul. We're talking about embedding AI into education right from the start, making India the place to be for top AI talent, and, maybe most importantly, building huge programs to reskill the millions of people already in the workforce. And that can only happen if companies, universities, and the government all work together. And all of this brings us to the one final massive question that this entire multi-billion-dollar project really hangs on. India is proving it can build the tech, it can attract the money, it can set the vision. But will it all succeed? Well, that depends on the answer to this. Can its people learn and adapt as fast as the machines they're building? The future of a tech superpower is riding on it.